Story Corner, presented by Jennifer. Who had committed the crimes in A Lingering Link? The cab driver who picked them up. All three victims had called the cab for rides. Mrs. Dawson because her car was being repaired. Mr. Baker because he didn't want to drive to the wedding, and Mrs. Dell because her car had been stolen. The cabbie would pick them up, drop them off at their destinations, and then circle back and brought them home. And then circled back and burglared their homes. When the victims' appointments were over, they would call the cab company for rides home and be picked up by different cabbies. The victims identified their original cabbie in lineups. Okay, so for those of you who guessed right, very good job. For those of you who didn't, you'll have another chance to try out your sleuthing skills in our next story. Chemistry Caper. Tabitha looked at the wall clock and heaved a heavy sigh. Almost 8 o'clock. Ordinarily, she'd be thrilled to rush home to one of Bob's delicious gourmet caliber meals. But she was in the middle of a project and hated to leave it unfinished. With any luck, she and her team would perfect their recipe for greener food production soon, and all would return to normal on the home front. Reluctantly, she put the vials and test tube she had been working with back into the refrigerator and made sure all the Bunsen burners and the lab's ovens were off. It would be just her luck to have all their work go up in flames because she'd forgotten to shut off all heat sources before clocking out for the day. As if to punctuate that thought, she just then became aware of what appeared to be a flashing red and blue light outside the building. She hurried to the parking lot and spied a couple of police cars parked side by side, with several officers observing a young man sitting on the curb. Her scientific curiosity getting the better of her, she strolled over to the officer nearest her. After noting the name on his badge, she asked, "Sergeant Carsfield, what in the world is going on here?" Carsfield pointed to the side of the chemistry building, where fresh graffiti in bright yellow and purple colors spelled out, "Lamestown University sucks." He said, "We got a call about a suspicious man on campus, and when we arrived, we saw this. We found paint cans nearby and saw this fellow wandering near the site. Adrian Barr." "He looks familiar," Tabitha said, eyeing the man who was sitting on the curb with his hands raised. Carsfield squinted at her. "You think you know him? Then might I ask, what were you doing here so late?" She smiled. "I work in the laboratory in that building right over there." And then she introduced herself. "I'm Dr. Tabitha Winslow, a chemist and professor at Jamestown. Or should I say Lamestown? I don't know this man per se, but he does look familiar to me. I just can't seem to place his face." "He says he's a grad student at the college, studying chemistry." "Oh, well, I teach a few chemistry classes now and then, but I'm mostly on the research side these days. Did you catch him in the act?" "Unfortunately, no. He does have a little bit of paint on his shoes and his pant legs, but he swears he's innocent. says he saw the graffiti and decided to be a good citizen and tried to clean it up. When the stranger nodded over to some plastic containers next to the chemistry building, he added, he said he was about to mix up those two chemicals and make a cleaning solution out of them. Tabitha walked over to the containers and read the labels, taking a whiff of each. Carsfield called out, "It's bleach and ammonia. Household stuff. Don't know if it would help remove paint like this, though." Tabitha shook her head and gazed at Auburn, once again as recognition dawned in her eyes. "Well, I don't know if this man has just an axe to grind against the school, or what motivated him to do this, but he's definitely the culprit." Carsfield's eyes widened. "How do you know?" "Because there's no way he could be a graduate student in chemistry." Tabitha smiled. "Any high school science student could tell you that he's lying. How did Tabitha know the suspect lied? Tune in next time to The Most Phony Finangler for the answer. And be sure to write your answers in the comment question, or in the comment section.